And welcome to the Tatiana Show. Today is March 20th, 2018. Time is marching on, isn't it, Josh? How's it going, buddy?
Oh my God. Time just runs. It can't help itself.
I wish it would have a bull run.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, things are going good. Oh, we're so excited. We're building something really crazy for Vaultoro. It's going to blow the Bitcoin community out of the water. It's going to be very exciting.
Okay, so
too much.
When can you say too much? I'm ready for the too much part of that conversation.
Yeah, in a few weeks.
Okay, that's cool.
But it's very, very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping to see you in a few weeks. I was going to go to a conference in Berlin, but I don't think it's going to happen after all. I texted you about it, but I don't think I'm going to do it. But I am going to be in Toronto in a couple weeks. Really quick before we get the show started, because we've got a lot of guests I wanted to mention. I'm going to be in Toronto on April 19th. Sunny Ray from Uno Coin is having a huge event in Toronto, so I'll be performing there. And then on April 25th, there's like the Internet of Money, Andreas Let's Talk Bitcoin 5-year anniversary bonanza. And it's Andreas event. It's like Andreas.event. And I think that the tickets are pretty much sold out, but it's all for the community. The tickets were only $40. There's a no groper policy. MK Lords is like administering the justice, which I think is pretty funny. But Stephanie Murphy's going to be there. Pamela Morgan's going to be the MC. The LTB crew, obviously Andreas, Adam, Crystal, and all sorts of cool people.
Wow, when's that?
It's April 25th in Chicago. Doesn't that sound fun?
That sounds really good.
Yeah, and then all the proceeds, they go to the Chicago Bitcoin meetup. But it's not the Bitcoin, it's like the blockchain decentralized meetup. I don't know. It's called Bob Chicago. And Pam and oh my gosh.
Oh, so it sounds like an entourage of fantastic.
And Brooke have been working on that for a while. Thank you for covering up my brain fart. Anyway, It's going to be awesome, but not as awesome as this show. Well, maybe, probably more awesome, actually. Let's be realistic. But nonetheless, we've got some good guests today. So we've got Paul Puey from Edge, which used to be Airbits and is now growing and morphing. And I've known Paul for such a long time. So he's our first guest today. Let's bring him on. Paul, come on down the aisle and welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Tatiana? Thanks for having me on the show. It's been a while since we chatted online. I know I've been bumping into you in one event after the other. Dallas, I think the last one, I think I remember seeing you. But good to kind of see and interact with your audience on the show. So thanks for having me.
For sure. You know, we've known each other since the very, very earliest days of Bitcoin. I think early 2014, we did that little road trip with Elizabeth Cloche, now Macaulay.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of toured California and the different meetups at kind of the last peak of cryptocurrency before 2017. And so it was awesome. Got to meet a lot of different people in the space. At the time, Airbits barely existed. It wasn't even announced to the world yet. And so just kind of gathering understanding of the people, the industries, the products. So it was a fun trip.
Well, go ahead. I mean, I remember that trip, and what I remembered the most was that you were doing basically a keto diet, and it wasn't popular at all. And I thought,
not at all. It's right. You remember that.
Wrong? I thought there was something significantly wrong with you, and something was terrible about everything about it. I was very disappointed. But now I've been flirting with keto a little lately, so that's been kind of.
Now it's like the in thing. Now it's it's like the CEO diet. It's the new hot trend. When which I had started at the time when no one would tell you to do that. It was like the worst thing ever that a doctor would say, "What? Are you crazy?" But that's at the heart of what we do here in disruptive tech, right? We do the stuff that people think is crazy.
Oh, gee.
From biohacking to
now. The establishment will tell you it's crazy. It's probably the right thing.
Absolutely. Now, for those listeners at home that don't know, what is Airbits? What was Airbits, I should say?
How has it evolved into Edge?
Yeah, so Airbits was a Bitcoin wallet, pure Bitcoin, didn't do any other currencies, with its main differentiating factor being what we call ease of security. We remove the complexity of private key management. If anyone's ever used cryptocurrency, at least really used it, not just had it on an exchange and traded it, but actually held it themselves, they'll notice that they'll have to back up a private key. They'll have to put that somewhere, either on a piece of paper, on a thumb drive, encrypt a file, all the complex stuff that people have never had to do for digital money. And so what Airbits did is it made software, a wallet, that automatically encrypted the keys, automatically backed it up for the users, so that all they felt like was they were just simply creating an account and logging in. while still making sure that only the user has control of their money. So it's non-custodial with full control by the user and the user only. And so that's been at the heart of what Airbitz was building. And we've now recently rebranded to Edge. We've also launched a new app, Edge Wallet, which was built kind of from the ground up to be multi-currency. So now we support Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, tokens, Dash, and we've built it in a more modular manner so that we can actually plug in new and different blockchains as they come up and we deem, have potential in this ecosystem.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The early Airbitz was, one thing people didn't always was worried about when Airbitz said, oh, but why do I have to log in? And then I would say, well, what they do is it's locally encrypted and they just back up that encrypted seed, but they still don't have any access to it.
Correct.
And that was a really big revolution for a lot of people. They're like, oh,
yeah, it's funny because if you ask someone who's just getting into crypto, it felt very natural for them. If you if you show it to someone who's been in crypto for 4 years, they get freaked out.
Yeah.
Admittedly, but those people who have been into crypto are the 1 percentile. Like they're the sub 1 percentile of the population. And that's not who we're necessarily targeting. We're targeting the people that are getting into it now. And if you look at the biggest wallets in the space, we're definitely kind of in the mid tier. We're not one of the huge players. But if you look at them, they all have a very similar experience. So Coinbase being one of the biggest, obviously, they just have a regular centralized wallet, which obviously will just have a regular like an email and a password. Well, we're mimicking that feel while providing people with true control of their funds, their own ownership of funds and true privacy, directly talking to the blockchain.
So what happens if I forget my password?
So if you forget your password, number one, if you still have your device, you can still log in with biometric and with a PIN. And that's generally a lot easier to remember. And what we do inside of the app is
what do you mean my device? You mean my cell phone?
Yeah, if you still have your cell phone.
Okay.
So there's multiple things that need to happen. And once again, we can only cover so much forgivability, but we try to do a lot better than a conventional wallet that just makes you write down a seed or back up a file. So if you still have your device, you can log in with just biometric or a PIN, which is by default enabled on Airbitz and Edge. We also put in password reminders inside of the app. At least in Airbitz, this is coming to Edge. It's not there yet. But every so often, if you've logged in with your thumbprint, biometric, or PIN repeatedly, then it will pop up a reminder asking you if you remember your password. And if you don't, to ask to go ahead and change it. So it's reinforcing memory. And this is applying humanity to technology, as opposed to just taking a technical answer to a security problem. Or applying humanity. As well, there is a reminder to set up password recovery that also gets put into the app. So we're the only app that implements encrypted data, actual data encryption, that has the option for password recovery. It does have to be set up ahead of time though. And so we do put in a reminder, say, hey, you should set up password recovery now that you have money in the wallet. And the setup is fairly straightforward. It's pick a couple personal questions, go ahead and answer them. And then you send yourself an email. It's not an email that Edge sends, it's one that you send yourself. And if you forget your password, click on that button, click on the link inside the email, and then answer the 2 questions, and you're back in. And it's much inspired by multi-sig. As we know, multi-sig can require more than 1 signature to sign. The password recovery requires 2 keys to unlock your account, one that's in your email and one that Edge holds. So it's a nice way of still having that not quite trustless, but much lower trust with a third party, but still be able to recover your account. So put some creative technology into to make an account that's much more forgiving.
So I think I'm on your website now.
Cool. Are you on the new website, edgesecure.co?
Ooh, it's so good looking. What a beautiful website. I'm like, oh, you want to go out sometime? I mean, it looks really gorgeous. I'm very impressed.
Cool. Oh, well, thank you very much. We definitely put quite a bit of effort in the rebrand. We had a branding company. We have a full-time designer that's worked on the look and feel of both the app and the website and a lot of the content. And so every one of the teams has been very happy with kind of the new feel. And so like I said, I feel like Edge is grown up.
As a CEO and going to that decision to rebrand, was that a scary move for you? Was that because
absolutely.
I could imagine, like for me and Voltura, we've thought about rebranding that too, because Volt and Oro, people are like, well, what's that mean? But I always think, but we've put so much work into the branding. I could imagine with Airbitz, everyone knew Airbitz.
Yeah, definitely was a scary moment. But we realized that the benefit of the rebrand was actually the fact that we were going to have a separate product. When we went to go multi-currency, Airbitz was built very much from the ground up for Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. It was really hard to get multi-currency into it with the language that it was using. So we had to start from scratch. That was actually scarier than the rebrand. This is the kind of thing that tanks even mid-sized large companies when they try to rewrite their entire code base. Our team at Edge was able to do that and succeed and actually push it out into production, which I think shows the testament of our team's ability to execute. I think that's a rare capability you don't see in many companies. Many can't even ship their first product. You know, they raise money.
Some of these ICOs, they'll raise like millions and millions and then never ship a product.
And never ship a product. You know, we've raised fractions of what these ICOs have, but we've been able to execute and actually ship product twice. You know, once with Airbits, continue to support it and ship a completely new product written from the ground up. And since we knew we were going to have these two apps living concurrently, we wanted a different name for it. And we've been using the branding Edge before. I don't know if you remember, we talked about Edge security as a way of securing data, the way the blockchain needs it at the edges of the network. And if you think about a network topology, right, like, you know, where are all the nodes of a network, and then there's central servers. At the very edges of the network are people. It's you and I, and it's our devices. And that was at the heart of how we were building security, is secure data for people at their devices. So we said, hey, this is kind of a cool term. Let's go ahead and brand around that. So Edge security, Edge login, the single sign-on, letting you use Edge Wallet or Airbits to sign into all these decentralized apps. All of that kind of came together in the branding. And so we're kind of very happy with what we came out of it. So the branding made sense. It wasn't just rebrand for no reason. It felt like new product, a targeted focus, and the naming was already used in the previous company, Airbits.
Fantastic.
So I was looking here on the website, and I'm looking at the currencies that you guys support. So we've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Augur, and Wings. How does a company, I mean, you could submit a request, but how long does it usually take, and how do you prioritize which coins you integrate with?
Got it. So two of those you'll notice are tokens, right? They're just the ERC20 tokens with Augur and Wings. The others are actual blockchains. So obviously integrating blockchains is much harder because you actually have to know how to talk to that blockchain, how to parse its transactions, create transactions. But like I mentioned, we made Edge very modular. So every blockchain is actually a plugin. So other blockchains can get incorporated by developers, whether it be us or another developer, writing a plugin that knows how to talk to that blockchain. And the rest of the app pretty much doesn't have to change. We actually had a developer of Zcoin modify a plugin to support their blockchain, and it took them less than a few days. And now that coin will have support, you know, in a future release, and other currencies in a similar manner. When it comes to the tokens, however, there's thousands of these tokens, and obviously they're very similar. And once you've integrated support for one, it's very easy to integrate support for another. But we're a bit more selective on which tokens we put natively inside of the wallet. Augur and Wings are two of our partners, and we have several others that you'll start seeing inside of Edge. So when I say partners, it means that they're actually using the Edge SDK inside of their app so that people can log in using the Edge wallet. And the nice thing about that is, if you log into Augur or Wings and you see your funds there inside of that app, the Ethereum and the Wings tokens or Augur tokens, you'll also see those funds inside of Edge wallet because we have native support for those tokens. That's that integration that really improves user experience. And so we're not just going to add any willy-nilly token. It's the ones that integrate Edge. However, I think we're the only kind of multi-currency, multi-blockchain wallet where you can add any token yourself, right? So if you know the parameters of a token, which are contract address, token code, currency code, and the number of decimals, you can actually just, you know, copy paste that into the app, and then suddenly your wallet and your account has support for that token. So whatever it might be, you know, EOS or, you know, I can't remember now. There's thousands, and I'm blanking as far as the different types, but you can add any one you want.
So those that are worried about security and they get hardware wallets, because I always find like phones are almost a hardware wallet. They're sort
very
of
good.
The problem is they're full of stuff, and people download any old app. And App Store has been shown multiple times that they let Apple especially has let really dodgy apps in. What can you say about that?
That's my take on that, right? So definitely Apple might let some dodgy apps in, but the nice thing about mobile devices is apps are very sandboxed from each other. I think there were a lot of malware, like Bread Wallet version apps that were in the App Store, but the only thing that those apps could do is steal the money that was in that app. Yeah. So they tricked you to download it, put money into it, and then the money went out. But they didn't affect any other app inside of your phone. So it's one of the benefits.
Much more secure, isn't it, than a PC?
Really? Yeah, generally speaking, it is much more secure. Now, people can have a very secure PC, but the average person doesn't, especially the average Windows user. Yeah. So we do, for now, definitely stick to the mobile landscape for securing cryptocurrency. And I think to answer the question of kind of, you know, they're worried about mobile security and they go with hardware wallets. Here's our take. Ask yourself this question. What are the biggest reasons why people lose cryptocurrency? Number one, they put it into an exchange. And that creates that honeypot. Attackers get to it, it's gone. Whether inside or outside attackers, whoever knows, right? It could be an inside job.
Yep.
So
most of the time, probably.
That's easily number one. Number two, which some might say is actually number one, is people just lose it themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They just don't back up the key. They don't back up the file. They lose the backup. I've lost cryptocurrency.
I've given Bitcoin to in the past, and then they've lost it, and it's like worth $1,000 now or whatever.
Right.
So
those are the two biggest reasons. And you see headlines in media about those two reasons all the time. Right. You just look in the media, you'll see, okay, lost Bitcoin. And the guy has Bitcoin lost in the dump because he left it on a hard drive, and exchange gets hacked. We just had like 2 major exchanges get hacked a few weeks ago, less than a month ago. So those are two biggest. How often do you actually see anyone getting malware on their phone losing Bitcoin, right, or any crypto? I can't find any reports of that. The closest thing, and the media will make this seem like your device got hacked. The closest thing I've heard, the tagline, guy gets phone hacked and loses Bitcoin. Well, what really happened is he had his phone number ported.
Yeah.
Right. So the phone company was hacked. Centralized service got hacked. Phone number ported. Email reset. Then centralized exchange account reset, password reset, and then money swept from there. So really, that's problem number one. That isn't really problem number 3 of device hacks. So really, what is at the heart of Edge is let's solve the problems that exist now, that we're actually having problems with, and not try to solve the ones that don't exist. We'll still put as much security as we can into the mobile wallet. Like, we're more secure than most mobile wallets. I think there were, I'm not going to mention names, but certain wallets that were targeted or mentioned on the media as not doing encryption of the keys on the device.
Yeah.
So if you did have malware that grabbed the storage, or if you backed up your phone onto your computer, and therefore, a lot of the data from your phone went to your computer, the keys were unencrypted. And so that's very common in many mobile wallets, some of the most popular ones. Not true.
But can I use my Edge wallet now? Can I download it?
Yeah, you can actually download Edge right now, and you can actually take your Airbits account and just log into Edge.
I don't know what my Airbits account is.
There we go.
You're welcome to create a new one.
Do you know where it is?
So you still have it on your phone. If you still have it on your phone, then you can go and log into it and reset the password.
I don't know if I have it on this phone. I probably had it on an older phone than this one.
So what's your take? Being a security expert, what's your take on the whole Spectre thing and that chipset where a lot of phones and a lot of computers were dealing with that problem? Does that affect anything on your end?
Yeah, definitely. It's still, once again, they're not perfect. That definitely is a threat. Luckily, there are very good, well-intended security researchers finding these potential vulnerabilities and finding them before they're getting exploited. And on Apple, I don't believe that actually was a vulnerability. I believe that was actually patched before it was known to be a widespread vulnerability. I could be wrong about that, but timing is critical with some of these vulnerabilities.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so having a lot of what I call kind of the good guys very, very closely looking at these platforms, I think is one of the strong benefits, because there are so many people using these platforms, and vulnerabilities in these devices become vulnerabilities not just in crypto, but in the entire world of how we communicate, how we do legacy financial as well. So once again, not perfect. And I do think that a future of mobile and non-hardware wallets will have a higher level of security using things like multi-sig. And I think that's something that we can look forward to as being much more usable. I think it's there today. I use it for what I call like vault caliber storage.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's very friendly at this point. It's something that we'd like to tackle and really bring true user-friendly utility to multi-sig. And
Absolutely.
It's not well implemented across currencies. I mean, basically Bitcoin, and that's really it. Like Ethereum doesn't have it. A lot of Bitcoin derivative currencies have it, but wallets don't support it. So often you can do it with Litecoin, you can do it with Bitcoin Cash, you can do it with a whole bunch of other currencies, Dash, but the wallets just don't support it. So it's definitely something that's on our roadmap. We want to support. Just we have a few things to do first.
People talk about exchanges being hacked and all these problems, but the fact of the matter is, if we really want to have cryptocurrency go mainstream, it's the store owner, the shop owner who doesn't trust his accountant, these small businesses aren't going to accept something that's easily stealable. So this is a big issue, I think, is having security. But digital security is something so new to humanity that and it's great seeing pioneers like yourself really tackle that head on. I mean, we've had 3,000 years of physical security and about 25 years of digital security, and only 9 years of actual hardcore digital security web to the person.
Cryptocurrency.
Think about it, because
I think it's true. We've been doing years and years of physical security, but you got to realize that the next generation of us hasn't actually needed to do it. So we might have hundreds of years of experience doing physical security, but ask yourself what the current generation of millennials that are digital nomads that travel a lot and don't really have a specific home, where would you put something that's physically secure? And I know when I travel, I don't feel comfortable, especially if you're backpacking. I've backpacked through Europe before. I don't really know where I would put something that I'd feel comfortable calling digitally secure, especially as a backup. So that to me is the concern. It's not that we have hundreds of years of it, but that's becoming less relevant. And it only takes one generation of people to realize that to lose a skill because it's no longer relevant. If that skill is physical security, you don't need it, then you're going to be bad at it. And I know I'm personally very bad at physical security, which is why I build a product for people like me. And I think that's where the trend is going. I'm noticing the people that are good at physical security, the gold bugs, precious metal people, are those that are kind of half a generation behind.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like they have vaults, they have safes in their home, they have a home in the first place. They're not as transient, but I think that's changing over time, and so we have to appeal to kind of the next generation, give them solutions. Well, I mean, there's always going to be options in crypto to do physical security, right? That'll always be an option. You'll always have hardware wallets, you'll always have paper backups, but we're trying to build a separate solution for a different generation of folks.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to try and download my Edge wallet now and figure out how to get into my Airbits one.
Okay, cool. Give us any feedback. Let us know how you like it. Throw some other coins in there. And if you like it, definitely tell a friend.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll tell a bunch of friends on the Tatiana show, all of our listeners. Sure. Great. Okay. Thanks so much, Paul, for coming on. And one more time, what's the website again?
edgesecure.co. So EDGE secure.co is the website. And from there, you can get links to the iOS and Google Play Store to download the app.
Yeah. Rock and roll, Paul. OG Skylands. All right. Thanks, bud. I'll see you soon.
Thanks much. Okay. Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Hey, Tatiana, that is, it is really important. And one thing I got to say is two-factor authentication, folks, is really, really important, especially on exchanges. And never, ever use SMS two-factor authentication. In fact, our second guest coming right up actually had that happen, where she was using two-factor authentication on an SMS, and someone ported that, and it happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Memory.
Yeah, I've got a great memory.
Wow, I'm surprised. So, by the way, okay, we're gonna bring on Lynn Ulbricht. She's got some really up-to-date news on the latest from the trenches from the free Ross trial. But before we do, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of our sponsors. We've got a few of them. And also, if you would like to be a sponsor of the Tatiana Show, if you have a product or service that fits with our show, you can reach out to us for sponsorship opportunities to dave@btcmedia.org. So they're handling that stuff now. But I did want to say thanks to our sponsors. The Bitcoin CPA, Kirk, is helping me out. I feel like my life has gotten a lot better since he's started to help me get my accounting life in order. And taxes and Bitcoin are no joke. And actually, everybody, you better be paying your taxes. They're coming up. Pay the man extra money because he's going to come for you. Or talk to the bitcoincpa.com and get tips on how to properly file your taxes. Tell us about Crypto Compare, Josh.
Crypto Compare is the place to go when you want to compare your crypto, of course. I wonder how they came up with the name. So basically,
it's very easy to remember. That's why.
It's a fantastic service, and in fact, they've also integrated Vaultoro, so you can check all your crypto against different prices around the world in different fiats. But why would you, when you can compare it against gold, compare it against an actual asset, a price discovery system on that? And Crypto Compare does it beautifully. You can keep a track of your portfolio, keep a track, see what you want to trade in and out of. It's a fantastic service. Been around for a long time. Very good service. I can't rave on about it enough. It's really good.
All right, cool. So we'll mention some of the friends of the show a little bit later, but why don't we bring on Lynn Ulbricht and say hi. Hey, Lynn, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Good to see you. Sorry it's not in person.
I know you look really pretty today. I like your
thanks.
whole look back there. It's very sunny. I know you just did a talk down in Florida for Reason,
Yeah,
and then
I
you're
did.
doing something at Block Spaces. So before we jump into all this stuff, tell me what are you doing? What are you doing down there?
Well, Reason had a fabulous weekend in Palm Beach for just sort of a Reason weekend for people who are very involved in Reason and support them. And it was great. It was a lot of wonderful people. One of the lawyers who spearheaded the amicus brief from Reason and Cato and a couple of other great groups. And I was also on a panel with Catherine Mangu Ward, who's the editor-in-chief of Reason now, and other great people. Women, and it was about women in podcasting, so that was interesting. And yeah, it was great. It was really, really wonderful. And now I'm in Tampa and going to speak to Block Spaces Wednesday.
Very cool. So Block Spaces is Rosa's fiesta. I don't even know what it is. I guess it's a space with all blockchain stuff. I know they're having events there. I think it's a workspace as well. So I'm sorry that I'm missing it. When are you going to be doing that? Wednesday, tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe, I'm free tomorrow night. Maybe I can Skype in and do a song or something. Yeah, she wanted me to do it. So let's put put that in the back of our minds.
Then you should definitely get sponsorship by Energizer batteries, because you just keep on going. It's amazing. I'm always blown away by your energy.
Oh, well, I don't feel that way, but I guess keep going. That's true. I have to, and now Ross is on lockdown. This prison has been on lockdown practically nonstop since Thanksgiving, which means that Ross is literally in a cage right now. And he has been for a week, and it doesn't show any sign of stopping because it's a violent place. And so when there's violence or fights, they lock the whole thing down, or at least that's what happened this time. And so Ross has nothing to do with it. But here he's in, and he can't have visits. He can't make phone calls. He's completely isolated. And so it just becomes very, it's a torment. And I can't stop because there's Ross sitting there in his cage. And I can't stop. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, man.
So.
Well, there's a lot of motion though about getting him out. I mean, you're doing the usual talking, meeting with people. I know that you have been meeting a ton of people who are really supportive. I know that gives you a lot of strength.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also progress on the trial front. So tell people, maybe some people are most people are familiar, especially if they're listening to this show, with the Silk Road case and stuff, but you can give us a quick overview of where we're at with everything. I know people would love to hear it because everybody's always asking about how Ross is doing, how you're doing, and what the latest is.
Yeah, well, the latest is we've Ross and his legal team, who's a great legal team, have top in the country, Williams and Connolly, who are just the top firm or one of them in the country. We're very, very, very lucky to have them. Have filed a petition to the Supreme Court with two questions. One is it a violation of the Fourth Amendment for the government to seize an individual's internet traffic information? And basically the question is, for all of us, each one of us, can the government just go and look at all of our browsing and use it against us to put us in jail or whatever, or persecute us, or in some cases with officials, blackmail them without a warrant? And without probable cause, which means a good reason that they present to the court. And it's pretty outrageous because it's a lot of very private and relevant information. You can find out people's political affiliations, and if, let's say, the government doesn't like those, they can use that, their sexual orientation and activity, their religious affiliations, and then all kinds of other stuff. So this is a big question for the digital age, and it's being brought before the court with Ross's case, because it's exactly what they did with him. They, without a warrant, they even had they searched and all through his browsing history, and they even had a directional antenna from an SUV parked outside his house. They could tell what room he was in the house without a warrant. You know, they can do this to any of us. They can be surveilling us from outside our home and without a warrant, with no oversight whatsoever.
You know, a lot of people constantly say, well, I don't do anything wrong. They can watch my favorite sports team if they want. But folks at home, please understand that it's not about you. If it's about the whole society. Now, if a government has the opportunity to just do this, think about the judges, the police, all these people that they can then say, oh, look, I know that you like spanking in bed or whatever. And that's kind of embarrassing for them. So
or medical records. Think about it like
records.
if you're pregnant or if you have some sort of a disease or if you're working through some sort of mental issues. When do mental issues mean that you can't have gun rights? I mean, it's just a whole entire
it's
avalanche.
such a big, and I've talked to individuals who have lived in countries where the government does crack down and does have control over judicial systems because they actually know bits of information. It's like back in the day when the clergy or the church would know everything through confession and then use that against them. The same way that maybe even Scientology uses people's confessions to then get control of them. This information is pure control. So whether you have something to hide or not does not matter. What matters is society will crumble if this sort of thing happens. And Lynn Ulbricht isn't only trying to get her son out, but she's also campaigning for your rights and the rights of society to move forward in a peaceful and free way. So it's definitely worthwhile. If you see an address where you can donate, definitely do that.
Yeah, freeross.org, everyone, if you want to donate to the defense fund. So, Lynn, are there other things sort of in play with this? Because as far as I understand, there's a carpenter case that sort of relates to this.
Yeah, there is, and one of the sure, and I just want to underline what Josh said. This isn't just about Ross. This isn't just about a website. It is really a bigger fight, and we have to decide what kind of lives we want to live and world we want to live in in the digital age, because we're really at a crossroads, and you know, it's really things are happening in the courts right now that are, including Ross's case, that are going to decide this, and he's absolutely right that it's not, you know, you may have nothing to hide. Great. Now, you know, or maybe you just don't like the idea of the government knowing everything about you, but it's true that they can use this sensitive information in many ways. As regards this other case and what's happened recently, the most recent thing is that the Solicitor General of the United States submitted a reply to the petition. And I want to be sure and get to the other question of the petition, but for this part of the petition, where they said, well, there is this other case, Carpenter versus US, which is really about cell phone tracking, and it's been brought before the Supreme Court and accepted by the ACLU and many, many other people signing on to it, saying it's a Fourth Amendment violation that without a warrant, the government can track you with your cell phone. Actually, Ross's case in many ways is more invasive, more sensitive, because the cell phone case doesn't reveal content. It's just your location, which isn't nothing, but it's not quite as invasive. But anyway, the government said, well, we think they didn't really oppose Ross's petition, which is great. They just said, we think it should wait to see how the Supreme Court rules on the Carpenter case, because if they rule favorably for the Carpenter and saying they can't track us with our cell phones, then Ross's case would be kind of grouped in with that and potentially remanded, which means sent back to the Second Circuit Appellate Court with guidance about how to apply things now. And there's another case, Kyra, as well. It's kind of waiting to see what how that's decided. So this is a big issue in the Supreme Court right now. And the Fourth Amendment, and is it going to be just a piece of paper that means nothing? Or is it going to have some protective power for our rights as individuals? That's what's at stake right now in the court. The other question, just let me go to that because it's very important as well, which does it violate the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution for a judge, not a jury, but a judge, to use uncharged allegations to enhance an unreasonable sentence. In other words, and in Ross's case, she did this several times. Most obvious and most prevalent one that's discussed is murder for hire, which Ross denies, which was never proven. The government never bothered to take it to court to bring it before a jury. But the judge used it to justify this draconian sentence that she gave Ross. And this deprived him of a right to a jury. And apparently this is a big problem in our courts, and has been for a long time. I was unaware of it. In fact, I was shocked when our trial lawyer said, "Oh, yeah, they can just do that. They can just talk about stuff that wasn't charged or proved." And I'm like, "What?" But they can. It's insane. But they can actually, if you're acquitted, even in court, the judge at sentencing can still bring it up. And if you're not even charged, it's even worse, because it's like, yeah, they can just say whatever, and a jury's never even ruled on it. And the reason we have a Sixth Amendment, one of the main reasons, is to protect the accused from rogue or corrupt judges who do this. That's why we have a jury trial. 12 people, supposedly of your peers, against one person who may have a vested interest in seeing you in jail. And it's the founding fathers knew that people are not angels, that they can be corrupted, that they can be wrong. And that's why we have this. And by upholding this sentence based on what they call judge found facts, they're not actually facts, but the judge decides they're true. She just decides. This is violating our Sixth Amendment rights. It's very important. Ross knows guys in the prison go, yeah, that happened to me. A lot of them. And apparently it's been going on for a long time. And it's not the judge's authority. It's out of their authority. They have no right to do it.
That's
and
just
the appellate court upheld it.
And it really just that association for that grievous crime, which never happened, never had any proof behind it.
Yeah, no murders, nothing.
The entire community that loved him just turned their back, because they thought, oh, well, that's everything he didn't stand for. But every part of his writings back in the early days, or what I'd thought of, was all about peace and nonviolence. And so it was really just a way to turn the community away from him. And we saw that play out exactly like that. And it's so sad. But a lot of people have realized that now and coming back. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah, and the media is very happy to say all kinds of things that are not true and sensationalistic for clickbait or whatever reason. And, then there's the whole question of who really is DPR and who was acting as DPR when. Because even when Ross was in solitary confinement, DPR logged in to the Silk Road Forum. So from that account. So there's lots of questions about that too that were never really allowed to be. In fact, were suppressed at trial. And we're going to have a very detailed summary with footnotes and all kinds of verification on it. We're working on it very hard right now on the site for anybody who wants to dig into it. And draw your own conclusion, because when you start reading what was going on in the investigation, the murder for hire charge in Maryland is based on the evidence by a corrupt agent who's now in prison. We're supposed to take his word for it?
I know.
It's kind of like, and Ross has never been anything but peaceful, all about no force, do no harm, voluntary interaction. The whole site. They didn't allow child porn for that reason, or
weapons,
which that's a big. Oh no, there were weapons, and you explained it last time I was on, Josh. It's like, that no, they didn't, and just was written about recently. It's like, no, they didn't, and anyway,
it was there right at the beginning, and then they took it off.
And there's actually no verified actual sales.
Yeah.
So show me a sale, but in any case, they took it off, and then they didn't even allow brass knuckles or knives or anything like that. And even in the prison, the guards come up to us all the time. More than one guard, several, plus higher level people have said to our lawyer, Ross doesn't belong in here. He's a good guy. He's peaceful. He's civilized. He's not a danger to anyone. He shouldn't be in here. No, they know it.
It's a crime against humanity as all, really.
And it's all fueled by the drug war, which is a whole other abomination going on. And so we're hoping that this Supreme Court. So anyway, our lawyers, Ross's lawyers, are going to be submitting a reply to the government because the government argued about the Sixth Amendment. They go, no, that you can't argue that doesn't have value, and they talk about that. And then our lawyer said, no, your arguments have no merit, and this is why. And they say it does because of this, and this. And so I won't go over all the legalese, but it's all posted on SCOTUS blog and available to read. And so that then after the reply tomorrow, no, it's today. They're going to put it up today, I think. No, they said
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
You're right. It was Wednesday.
Today's Tuesday. Wednesday. Sorry. Then we wait to hear what the Supreme Court says. Will they? Because they get something like 10,000 petitions a year. So to even be heard by them is huge. I think we have a really good chance. It was written up in the SCOTUS blog as petition of the day, one to be, and that's usually because it's one they're watching. So many good amicus briefs, which is unusual for this level of process. And I think we have a chance, and then the government replied, which they don't always do, and didn't even oppose it. So at least on the Fourth Amendment. So we're hopeful. We're very hopeful that there'll be some kind of relief, we'll stay in the game, and that it can not only help Ross, but so many people. We're really at a very pivotal time right now. We really have to pay attention to what's going on.
So people that are paying attention and want to pay more attention, how can they follow you? How can they find out more? How can they donate? How can they contribute their skills? If you can't donate, how can they contribute their skills?
Yeah, well, freeross.org is the hub of all of it. And there's a take action page. And by the way, it's Ross's birthday, Tuesday, March 27th. It's kind of a late notice, but if anybody just wants to drop him a card real quick or a letter or something, he can't obviously get email, but that'd be really nice. It's his 5th birthday in prison. And I think of that and I think, what a waste of an amazing person who's just, has a lot to contribute, a lot. I mean, just your whole discussion with Paul, he would love to be in on that. Yeah. He would love to be talking with you guys and brainstorming and, and he would have a lot to contribute. He's very smart, as well, Tatiana can tell you. Well, so she knows him. So, it's a
man with such bad luck. He's definitely got a lot of good luck for having such an amazing mother and a challenger to the status quo and to the evils of this world. And I think it's just keep up the good fight. And I hope we can do our bit to help you.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn.
Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, all that. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, what are your links really quick? What's your Twitter?
free_Ross, and then just Free Ross community page for the Facebook.
All right, awesome.
It's all on freeross.org, you link. But anyway, thanks, guys. Love you guys.
Thanks so much. And everybody, if you ever shop on Amazon, there's a referral link on freeross.org, and you click on it, and then a little portion of your purchase goes to help the family. So you don't even have to donate. You could just shop regularly, and then they get a little chunker.
Yeah, no cost to you. Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Lynn. We love you. We'll see you soon. Okay, give Ross our best.
Well, okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Okay, great. So we have had a very action-packed show today, Josh. Let's bring on our next guest. Erik Mendelson and I met in WCF in San Francisco a few months ago, where we did a music panel. And Erik has a music company, and he's going to tell us a little bit about it. They're using some blockchain. And RecordGram. It's won the TechCrunch Disrupt Cup, and it was a featured company on Apple Music's original series, Planet of the Apps, which I read as apes. And I was like, seems a little out of place. But not really, not if it's apps and you don't mess up your letters. So, Erik, thank you for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Well, if you believe in Darwin's theory of evolution, we're all apes at one point in our life, right?
I certainly never was, nor was anyone from my line.
Okay, all right, sure. If you don't believe in Darwin's theory of evolution. So I'm the CEO of RecordGram. RecordGram, as you mentioned, is a TechCrunch Cup Disrupt winner. We're the only music technology company to ever win TechCrunch. We are, even though I'm originally from New Jersey, I'm based in Miami. Like a secondary tech hub. So for us to win, TechCrunch Disrupt was an honor, and probably the most prestigious award that any startup in the world can win, in my opinion.
Wow.
RecordGram is basically, it's a mobile recording studio in your pocket. So music producers all over the world, regardless of where they live, upload their beats, their instrumentals to our platform. Again, artists wherever they live can listen to those beats in the platform, They can record an original song in it. They could write a song to the beat in the platform, and then they could shoot a video to it in RecordGram, and they could share that across all their social networks, hopefully creating a fan base and turning their friends into fans. So we're basically democratizing music collaboration so that anyone, anywhere in the world can create original songs. And we have award-winning music producers and upcoming music producers on our platform. And the beats are less than $5, and some of these producers in our platform can charge upwards of $50,000 for their beat. In our platform, you get it for less than $5 through a non-exclusive license.
Very cool. Yeah. Josh is excited.
I'm excited. Actually, I watched your TechCrunch presentation. It was really cool. I love that you can record videos and all of that. How's it going? How many people are making songs? Are you getting any hits out there?
Yeah. So, well, the good news is that the answer is yes. Part of our plan is to discover talent through our platform. My co-founder is a Grammy award-winning music producer. My other co-founder, Mims, is a multi-platinum recording artist. And I've signed a lot of artists and producers to various publishing deals and record labels in the past. And I myself am a music executive. So we're looking for the next great talent on our platform. We're looking, dare I say, for the next Justin Bieber to come on RecordGram. As you know, Justin was discovered on YouTube. Chance the Rapper was discovered on SoundCloud. We believe that we're the next evolution of that process. And there's 2 or 3 artists in our platform right now that are actually having major label conversations to get deals with labels through the content that they're actually creating on the RecordGram platform right now. So we're pretty excited about that. And none of this has anything to do with blockchain. And then after we won TechCrunch Disrupt, several friends of mine, several music executives, believe it or not, said, "Hey, Eric, you should look into this blockchain thing and accepting cryptocurrency." And I was familiar with blockchain and cryptocurrency, but quite frankly, to me, it was like a foreign language. And I didn't understand it. I didn't spend the time to understand it because I was focused over the last 2 years on building my company, RecordGram. And then a friend of mine, Brian Calhoun, from Maverick Management, U2's management company, Nicki Minaj's one of the biggest music management companies in the world, were like, "No, really spend time and look at this." And one of my angel investors was like, "You really need to look into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency." So I did, not cryptocurrency, into blockchain, just the technology. So I did, and I was fascinated about what it could do to redefine the music industry from this point moving forward. And then, of course, the whole like ICO craze or token generation event, whatever it was called at the time, came into the picture. And several friends of mine from Dubai called me and said, "You're a perfect candidate for integrating blockchain technology into the RecordGram platform and issuing your own token that works as your currency in the ecosystem of RecordGram." And that's what we're in the process of doing with the Tune token generation event.
Awesome. So what's the timeline for that?
Yeah. So we announced that we were doing a token sale at TechCrunch live on stage in August of 2017. And it's taken us to this point to actually get all of our legal ducks in a row and do everything that we need to start our private sale. Our private sale was supposed to start actually this Friday, but the regulation and the rules are changing so quickly that one day we're accepting U.S. investors or U.S. accredited investors. The next day we're not. One day we could take, New York City investor money. The next day we can't. And we're just trying to do everything the right way because there's really no framework right now for issuing a token generation event the correct way. And the SEC is kind of taking the approach of come to them and talk to them first before you do it. And then they'll issue you like an opinion as to whether or not it's a utility or a security. So we're in the process of doing a lot of that stuff right now. So we've kind of delayed our private sale. So we probably won't start it on Friday. We'll probably start it the following week. But yeah, tunetoken.io is the website if anyone's interested in learning more.
For sure. So wait, it only takes them 2 weeks to give you feedback? That doesn't sound like the SEC.
No, I don't know if we're going to do that. But I have about 6 lawyers in various jurisdictions that are working on giving us various opinions and working us through the process. Because Tune Software is a registered company in the Cayman Islands. So there's certainly different rules in the Cayman Islands that apply versus U.S. Rules and laws. So we're just navigating that whole terrain right now. Just yesterday I just flew in. That's why I look like this. I just flew in from Puerto Rico because there are 3 blockchain events out there. And I've gone to probably 25 blockchain conferences over the last 4 or 5 months. And every time I go to these conferences, I meet someone new or learn something new. And it makes me reevaluate the steps that we're taking for our token generation event to make sure that we're doing everything in accordance with the current law right now and current decisions that are being made right now.
Yeah, I think it's a real innovation killer because you can't tell what is the right thing to do. I know we've faced a lot of challenges with token.fm and like Tatiana coin stuff because, you know, even if you could accidentally be breaking a law and not even know that you're doing it. And if you're dealing with other artists and stuff like that, you can't put other people at risk. You don't know what what risk you're even necessarily taking on, because one day it's like this and the next day it's like a completely different picture. So I know how that could be very,
I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that you can that you're not allowed to make a token and have it represent something without some state coming in and smashing you down for it. It just seems ludicrous, especially something that was developed by a community, by cryptographers, by grassroots, and all of a sudden the state comes in and goes, "Rrr." I mean, look, I understand that there's a lot of scams out there. There is. But the fact is, the biggest way of stopping these scams is financial education or literacy. You can't go around with a big gun shooting everyone down for creating something cool and stopping innovation, especially from the land of the free. And then it just seems so wrong and unfair.
It is unfair, but look at what happened to Ross, right? It's almost like pointless to complain about how unfair it is. You just got to go along with the program, because there's other places where I think we can push back, but messing around with the SEC is not a place that I'm interested in fighting. It's such a horse shit, but like you have to, you just have to do it, and that's it. And hopefully maybe try and see those regulators as people too, because I think that really helps with the process. I mean, I'm, little anarchist chick, screw the regulator and the man. But behind those masks, there are people there. So have you found that, conversations with people have resulted in anything that's useful for you? Like, are people responsive in that way?
Yeah, 100%. I want to add that the blockchain community, and again, I was hanging out with Blockchain Mafia for like the last 3 weeks between Austin, LA, and then most recently in Puerto Rico. We're not anti-SEC regulation. Because the SEC is there to protect the people, you would think, and protect the consumers.
Well, let's just be clear. I don't think that everybody is down with needing the SEC. I think the SEC does a lot of bad things. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to try and obey them, but just to be clear that not all blockchain people are into that. In fact, I would say a lot of people are very, very frustrated. And the lack of accountability in government is why people don't like these regulators, because they don't look what happened with HSBC. They laundered billions of dollars for drug money. They got like, here's a little fine, you naughty banks. And then, so sorry. I think I hijacked that one to a random side anti-government tangent for a second time.
I had a feel you were gonna say that. But again, the SEC, the companies that they've gone after thus far, in my opinion, are outright scams, and those companies deserve to be shut down, because it sets a bad precedent for legitimate companies or legitimate token generation events like the Tune token that makes it a little bit more difficult to navigate the landscape. So again, thus far, I think that the SEC has done a pretty fair job of doing what their job is supposed to do. I think where they failed is coming up with a framework that's set in place right now so that companies like ourselves or companies like yourself or token generation events like ourselves and possibly yourself have an actual framework so that we can go out there and not be afraid that we're breaking a law that's going to get us in trouble later, because we're, potentially like Ross, we're good people. We're not really trying to break the law, and there's no laws in place, and they're making it like a rich man. They're making it a playground for attorneys right now. The people who are making the money right now are the attorneys or the accountants. And they're charging, $500,000 for opinions. And the next day, that opinion that you just paid $500,000 for doesn't mean shit. And then they charge you another $500,000 for giving you a new opinion based on that current day's regulation. And that's where the government or the SEC needs to say, okay, enough of this crazy stuff that's going on. Let's try to navigate this in a way that's good for the community, because you're absolutely right, Tatiana. We are losing out on innovation right now to the rest of the world. And there's no reason.
Why stay in the U.S.?
Everyone's going to Switzerland, Luxembourg, Germany, even.
Singapore.
Germany's not so much, but it's really a big brain drain, and it's a huge problem. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Erik, is that Actually, it's the main cost. Like, I don't even mind. Of course, there's a regulator there that's going to be there. We're all adults. We've got to deal with that sort of stuff. But don't charge through the nose and have no real rules in the game. You don't buy a game for $1 million, open up the box, and then there's no rules in there.
But this kind of infrastructure disruption is not desirable. This is why bureaucracy exists, because this type of stuff eliminates government waste. It eliminates waste across the board. It brings transparency and accountability. And there's a lot of people along the way of the entire system that benefit from that. So they don't necessarily want light being shed. So there's not really much of an incentive other than losing innovation.
Yeah, and the cost really protects the banks, not the people, because it's the banks that can afford to pay these massive costs, these huge organizations, and the little startup, good luck.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
I want to go off on continue on my tangent on attorneys and how much I can't stand them. But
I know like 3 good attorneys, and that's it.
Yeah,
the rest of them, throw them with the wolves. No, I'm just kidding.
Have those attorneys ever made you money? Have those attorneys ever said, Tatiana, I want to introduce you to this client or this connection, and I think that you guys can have a good, you guys can form some sort of partnership? Has that ever happened to you?
I feel like I give my lawyers more business. No, but there's still time.
Now we're a company like RecordGram, right? We're a very high-profile token generation event. We actually have a product, unlike the majority of the token generation events that are out there right now. Our lawyers are like grabbing at us to have clients. I'm paying our attorneys to give us like legal opinions and draft up documents and stuff. They're putting RecordGram on their website. I mean, they're not yet, but they're using RecordGram as like their token and they're generating other business for that. So I'm paying them to generate additional business.
That's nice for them, isn't it? They've got a good racket. All right, I feel like we're ragging on every authority figure out there, but that's what happens on the Tatiana show.
So if you're a producer, you want to get there. Is that you just download the app? Where do you go?
What's the takeaway here? What's the call to action?
Yeah, so again,
invest. Well, no, I'm not telling anyone to invest in anything. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, buy some tokens. So music producers can go to recordgram.com and they can upload their beats on the website, and then those beats will immediately show up in the RecordGram platform. Like I said, my co-founder is a Grammy award-winning music producer, and what we noticed was, his royalties were getting depleting. We're depleting, as well as my artist clients, because of the streaming royalties that are out there, which is an opaque accounting system, lack of transparency, which I can go a 5-hour conversation about. I'm like, we have to fix this. We have to make it so that all these artists and these producers get compensated for creating and sharing their content across their social platforms and across the RecordGram social platform. And that's why we created the Tune Token, because music producers will be incentivized by creating beat playlists and sharing it on their platforms. Artists will be incentivized to earn Tune Token by creating music on RecordGram and sharing it across their social platforms, hopefully creating a network effect. And for the first time ever, we're actually incentivizing music fans to come on our platform and discover talent and then share that across their social networks. I subscribe to Apple Music and Spotify. I pay $10 a month. When I share songs that I discover on those platforms with my friends, they don't give me 5 cents off my subscription next month. They just send me another bill for $10.
Yeah, and they sell your information for you. So considerate.
And the artist gets wheat F all. I mean, seriously, Spotify, it's like walking past a busker, not only throwing a penny in the box, but throwing a penny in the bush next to him. It's just such an outrageous amount of money that they get. It's tiny. It's absolutely tiny, and it's just it needs to be disrupted.
Yeah, no, and we're trying to do that. We're trying to redefine the music industry from this point moving forward. So we attach Ethereum smart contracts to all the people that are creating music in our platform, so that when that song goes out there and generates revenue wherever it does, we know who owns the rights to that song, so they can transparently get paid through the blockchain. There's no middleman. There's no attorneys. There's none of that involved. If me and my co-founders were to step away from the company, it could still work as a decentralized organization or ecosystem, and it could still run itself through the token ecosystem that we've created.
Very cool. Well, everybody go out there, download yourself an app. Any other final parting words?
No, please, if you're interested in participating in the token generation event, our white paper is published. Everything that you need to know is on the tunetoken.io website. And you can also download the RecordGram app. It's in the iOS store. It will be in the Android store shortly. And that's it. Appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thanks, Erik. Please look us up next time. Well, look me up when you're in New York again. I'm here, and I'll hit you up if I'm coming out to the West Coast.
As soon as that bullshit weather stops, I'll be out there.
All right. I'll see you later, buddy. All right, Josh. So we've got like no more time left in the show, but I've been feeling good vocally, and I've been thinking I want to do more music stuff. So I want to play a song for everybody, and I'm going to try and do that more often. I was going to play a song off of my album, Keep the Faith, but since we had Lynn on, I think it'd probably be good if I did the Silk Road song and, remind people about those of us who are less fortunate and that are suffering behind bars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so there was a man who did the unspoken. He looked for freedom from the violence. No one is perfect when there's new ground broken. A mess is made and someone gets blamed. He had a dream of harmony as we wish to live out our own. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. This ain't the movies, there's a war in the streets. The innocent are in jail. We pray for justice and we wanna be free, and hope the truth will prevail. He had a dream of harmony as we wish to live out our own. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. We can't give up, we cannot quit. Don't be afraid. We have a voice, and this is it. Let the light show the way. He had a dream of harmony as we wish to live out our own. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. We cannot stand for this, cannot have you fall along the Silk Road. Thank you, everybody. Good night. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Remember, check out our guest websites. Please go to freeross.org, of course. Check out RecordGram online, download the app, and, of course, get your wallet security with Edge. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.